Hey, this is Esoteric the Red, and this is about anybody that may feel like they're stuck inside some sort of digital matrix. I'm gonna illustrate to you how it is that you started living every day exactly the same, and then what psyops were used uh, to make you believe that that was a matrix. So essentially, from the time that you were born, they gave you a number, like a social security number. Then they put you into a school system that got us all acting the same, right? They took our individuality away. They got us used to bells, listening to authority, stuff like that. I remember when I was a kid, I liked to talk a lot, and they did everything they could to get me to be someone that didn't want to be social. If you think about it, that's kind of sad. I mean, they did it to everyone, though. The troublemaker kids, anybody that didn't fall in line with what, the school system seemed deemed valuable. But from an early age, they get you used to this sort of monotonous way of life. You wake up in the morning, you get ready, you go somewhere, you come back, you relax for a bit, you wake up, you do it again. And this is like pretty much the blueprint for the rest of your life. Eventually, you get older, you graduate high school, you decide to either, enter the workforce or pursue higher education. Um, if you pursue workforce straight away, you'll find that the system that keeps you living the same day every day fully gets its hooks into you. At some point, you're going to feel like you should get married and have kids, and that costs money. And you're going to have all these responsibilities. You're going to, you should get a house. Eventually, all this stuff that you have to take care of, it all has its hooks in you so that you cannot escape um, the everyday monotony that you've entered into by falling in line. And you couldn't help but fall in line because from the time that you were born, you were in systemized settings where you could not experience true freedom. If you ever had a free thought to ever, get up out of your desk and go outside and feed a bird, for instance, they told you that was bad. There's nothing bad about that. This it's just the school system doesn't allow for individualized behavior, and honestly, society as a whole doesn't allow for individualized behavior. Anybody that doesn't want to participate, there's like nothing even for them to go to. You know what I mean? Say you're the type of person like you just don't want to be a part of the rat race. You don't want to work a 9 to 5. You don't want to get married. You're content if you can just eat and relax. There should, in my opinion, there should be some type of option where you can do minor work for the state or minor work for the government, and you get something incredibly small, something maybe even like something as small as a Tesla pod, and you get, you know, basic meals, eggs for breakfast, beans for dinner, if that's what it is. And honestly, if you want to sit around and become more knowledgeable or you want to get closer to God, like that option is there, and then maybe every day you go out and you mow a courthouse one day or part of a park. You know what I mean? But you're adding something to society, but your reward for that is your ability to actually grow in your spiritual nature. There's nothing like that out there. There's no if you look into teachers, Muhammad was able to go by himself on a mountain. Try going by yourself on a mountain today like that. It doesn't work. All this is land is divided up and it's owned, and um you try going and sitting under some random tree unbothered for 40 days like the Buddha did. Try going out to the desert. Like, it's just not feasible because essentially, like, the world is a desert. um you get put into these systemic settings and institutions, and eventually, like I said, you're somebody who's you're in the institution of marriage, or even worse, divorce. Maybe you've committed some type of crime, even minor, but you're in that. Say you're in the institution of debt. You've bought things that you couldn't even pay for, and now you're stuck there because of all these things. You're stuck with a car payment, house payment, all these things. You're stuck at a job that you hate, that you have to go to, and day in and day out and day in and day out, you're slaving away for these things, and you really wish you could just throw it all away. You wish you could just throw it all away and not have to do this anymore, but those hooks are in you. So eventually it gets to where your behavior feels almost simulated. You go to work, you come home, you do whatever that is, whatever it is when you get home. Eat your dinner, wash your dishes, watch your show, bang your wife, go to sleep, you wake up, you do it again. In the meantime, you're scrolling on your phone a lot. And it seems as if, well, nothing really changes. I mean, sure, things in outer reality change. There might be a war here or a protest there, but overall, for the most part, most people, every day, day in and day out, day in and day out, the same repetitive motions. And again, it can feel like it's a simulated reality, but when you get phones into the mix, that's the psyop. You'll constantly see people, wondering if this is the Matrix, and wondering if we're in a simulated reality, and wondering if, and the truth is that you're not in a simulated reality, but you have been essentially forced into a system that mind controlled you to act in a simulated way, and then through the phones convinced you that this must be a simulation. So because of the hooks that get in you in society, and because they keep you on that rat race, they keep you in that wheel, turning and turning and turning. You have to earn money just to survive. You're literally just working to go to work, just to spin in circles, and it can feel samey. It can feel like you're in a simulation. And I've seen people that are chronically online get inundated with the idea that maybe we are in a simulation. I've seen people talking to AIs that are pushing that we're in a simulation. I see spiritual gurus using simulation metaphors, even when they don't actually mean, that reality is a computer, we're in a simulation. But, some of that some of that jargon and language is bleeding over into actual true spiritual teachers. Anyways, as this, as your hooks get deeper and deeper into you, and you see more and more, simulation theory, and more, people are leaving God behind, you become more and more open to this idea that maybe reality is just code. But the truth is that you are free, and you're not simulated. That job that has its hook in you, you can walk out of there right now. No one's stopping you from walking out. That marriage that you're drowning in, you can leave that person, that boyfriend or girlfriend that's sucking the life out of you. You can walk away from them. You can take your power back. You can realize that every single moment that you're living, there's a free will choice there. And breaking out of your systemic conditioning and realizing that you have freedom of choice and moment by moment is within your grasp. It's something that we're all capable of. And I think the more people do that, the more that you realize you don't have to force a change in the system. You don't have to force a change in society. You will do fine changing yourself. Because if everybody just changed one person themselves, the world would naturally be a better place. If everybody was living from inner peace and contentment and from a heart space that loved, the systems that are already in place would naturally fix themselves. For instance, in the healthcare industry, the the people running the insurance companies. If all of them did this, the insurance companies' policies would naturally start to reflect an open heart space. You would understand that these policies come from a mind that actually cares about the patient, if not money. And this would happen without burning down United, without, you know what I mean? You would just realize, hey, we have been screwing our customers. Maybe it isn't right that, they pay for coverage and we deny them and make them redo the whole process just to eke out the time to pay, just hoping that they die. Like, maybe that's in bad taste, because now I see it from an open heart space. Now I see it from an empathetic heart space. I think it's possible for us to reach that. And I know it can, the best thing to do is to change yourself first, and then to appeal to other people's hearts to change too. And then you'll naturally see a systemic change as your inner world changes, because you still got to live in it, but you can't be of it, in it but not of it. And it's important to do that, because I think eventually, if you can really look into see what they're trying to do, it's like it goes from, get everybody living every day exactly the same, convince them they're in a simulation, put AI in their cell phones and on their laptops, give it to them for free, and then have them rely on the AI for their inconveniences and hard thinking, and offload their agency to it. And then once they do that, they will be literally simulated as the AI is making decisions for them. They're okay with living the same day every day, and there's no more agency left in the human. So I think it's important, if you feel like you're stuck in some type of digital matrix, to pull yourself out of it. I always say, if you want to start with that, don't use AI. Don't ask, ChatGPT what the truth is. I always say pick a foundation. When I say that, some type of spiritual path. And when I say some type of spiritual path, I mean anything from shamanism to Buddhism, from Christianity to Islam. Find a foundation, get a conception of what God and spirituality might look like for you. Be for yourself what you think God should be for you too. I think I would recommend that. And then I would recommend to seek and you will find. It's true. But that's all I got for this one.